Hello and welcome to Meister Arts and Crafts. I'm Libby and today I'll be showing you how to make these simple and easy spring cards. So to begin, we are going to make this fun mason jar card with some florals in it. And to begin, I thought I wanted some Distress Oxide flowers, and I was going to do this nice gradient, which you can see here. I just use a blending brush to help blend between those two colors, and I stamp them a bunch of times until I like how it looks. And I think this looks amazing on this vellum, but I just didn't feel like it fit for this card. So I did change it up here in a minute, but I wanted to show you that it's okay to change your mind, and that I did. So I'm still going to stamp on vellum, but I'm going to use some Versamark ink instead, and I'm just going to stamp all of those in Versamark ink on here, and I'm going to use an air hockey tool, I guess, and I just use that as my pressure tool, and it helps me get a good impression. So yeah. I did forget to put anti-static powder tool on this. I suggest you do, especially on vellum. I find that it has more static than regular paper. So yeah, I did have to brush some away. But for the mason jar, I'm going to add some white embossing powder to that one. And for the florals, I'm going to use some gold embossing powder for all of those. And yeah, I did have to brush them away with a paintbrush, which you will see here. I just got in there a little bit. Doesn't matter too much what kind of paintbrush you use for that. And then I just heat embossed those. Next, I took some craft cardstock, and I'm going to make a whole background with the florals and leaves that I just stamped. And I'm going to do this with some Versamark ink. One thing I will not do is I'm not going to emboss this. This is just going to be the Versamark ink, and what that does is it creates a lighter impression impression onto this cardstock. It just makes the cardstock a little bit darker in the areas where it stamps, and it creates a cool background that is simple and still lets the main image stand out. But I think it turned out really well. Really good, and I just placed them where I wanted, and I just stamped. This wasn't too complicated. This did take a little bit of time, but it was not hard. And yeah, so I sped it up here because it would take a lot of time, like the whole video, if I hadn't. So yeah. I'm just going to find an arrangement that I like. So I have my mason jar, and I'm just going to kind of arrange these florals how I like them in this jar, just have an idea. And then I will glue them in the jar how I like them. I wish these florals and leaves had some longer stems, but they don't, so it's okay. I just glued just the stem to the mason jar, nothing else, unless it was sitting deeper in there. But yeah, I didn't glue any of the florals to the other florals because I wanted them to feel like they were actually in a mason jar, and that they were alive, and just kind of it looked more realistic this way. So I'll just glue them all in there. It took me a minute to get the arrangement that I liked, but once I did, it was pretty simple. I will just check it on this panel, and I did have to move that top flower there down a little bit because it was a little too tall. But yeah, I liked that now, so I will just apply some liquid glue where the embossing is, not too much, and then I will attach that down. You can see a little bit of the adhesive, but it's not too bad, so I think, yeah, that's good. So I just placed it in the center there, and you can see I just fluffed up those florals and leaves so that they'd look like they had a little bit more life. I now have about 4 or 5 more pieces of cardstock, and I'm just going to glue them all together. This will just create some layers, and it is cheaper than foam tape, so it still gives that great dimension without all that price. And so I will just attach that on top of all those layers. And then you can see there that I have some gold foil cardstock, and I cut the center out of it to save some cardstock, and then I will just place that on top. I did have to hold it down for a few minutes because it is foil cardstock and it's a bit slicker, but yeah, once it was adhered, it was good. I'm then just going to take this sentiment from the Hero Arts Hello Stamp and Cut. This one says, "You brighten my day," and I just stamped that there with some black ink onto the middle bottom of that mason jar. I do wish I had stamped it on a separate piece of paper and then attached it, but I didn't, and it turned out fine. But that is something I suggest. I then just added that to an A2 white card base, and that finished off this card. Then for this next card, I am going to be I actually forgot to turn on my camera or something. I couldn't find the footage of me painting this, but I just took some Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock, and I stamped this this bicycle image on there. I cannot find all of these stamp sets, but I will link some that are close and will work for this. So I just used some Kitsch Flamingo, salvage patina, and mustard seeds to just paint those on there, just with some water, and then I stamped it again with black ink just to make it a little bit darker, and then I fussy cut that out. I'm going to make the same background for this one as I did for the last. I think this just added a little bit more interest, and then I cut about an inch off, so it's about 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So yeah, it will have an inch of room around, which is less than my last one. So yeah, I will just trim that down how I like it, and then I will add a little bit of foam tape onto the back of this bicycle image here, and yeah, place it how I think I like it. So I will just grab a white card base for this. This is A2 as well, and I'm just going to make sure I like that arrangement, and yeah. So this is a scrap piece of cardstock. As you can see, I tried to paint a pumpkin on there at one point, but yeah, I'm just going to add a little bit of foam adhesive to the back of that, and I will remove the adhesive backing, and then I'm just going to well, actually, I'll wait a minute because I'm also going to stack this. This is about 4 pieces of cardstock together to create the dimension again. And then I will attach the other one on top as well. So yeah. I'm just going to stack all of those together. This is just using the Bearly Arts liquid glue. So yeah. Speed through this here just a second, and I will attach this top piece, and then I'm going to attach that all to the front of the card base, just like so. And then I also stamped a few sentiments. I stamped welcome with just black ink onto some white cardstock, and I stamped spring with some of the Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide ink, and I added some foam tape where I think I needed it, and then I just placed that at the bottom of the front wheel, and then I just added some liquid adhesive where it attached to the bicycle, and then I just attached the welcome with some liquid adhesive as well above the back tire. And then for a bonus, I'm going to show you how to make this simple tag for spring. I think it's super cute. So I stamped this little Easter basket and this little chick, and that was just with some black, and I think it's intense black ink. I'm then just going to use a Tombow blender, and I'll just dip that right into my ink pad to and it helps blend it out. You just have to make sure that you really get all of the previous color out before you move to your next color. And yeah, I did have to cut quite a bit of this footage out because my hair was in the way, so I'm very sorry. You can even see that there's some in this footage, but I tried to keep as much of it as I could. So these, I'm just going to use the same Distress Oxide inks that I used for the bicycle one, and then I'm going to use a Crayola pen or a Crayola marker for this, just any simple pen, and I will do the basket. And then I had to cut this all out, but I used some Twisted Citron for the little leaves on the flowers around the basket. And then I'm just going to, I just made this tag super simple, and stamp this Happy Spring sentiment with the black ink on there. And then I just attached some, or added some foam tape onto the back of these images, and then I will again attach them to this little tag. So I just decided that I was going to put the little chick right next to the basket, and I added some liquid glue on the side that was going to touch the basket. And then I felt like it was a little plain, so I decided to add some of this Hero Arts pink shiny mist stuff, and I just covered up my images because I didn't really want them to have too much shine. And then I used this stuff on the counter, or on the table, and I just splattered that over the whole thing, which it was a little bit more diluted and more sparkle than pink, but I think that just added a little bit more to it as well. I will then attach some of this like craft colored twine on top, and I'm just going to make a little knot with this. I do get pretty close to the camera there, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I just tied them around each other, and then I decided to add another little bow to this. It's a really small bow, so it was hard. I had to make two because my first one did not go so well. But yeah, I made it super small. It did take a minute. And then I just cut off the excess there, and I just will attach that with some liquid glue onto the basket. I think this added a super cute touch and just gave a little bit more texture and interest to this cute little tag. So yeah, that will finish off my cards for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and come back next Tuesday for a new video. If you are interested in any of the supplies I used today, check the description box below. If you are interested in more inspiration, check out my Pinterest account at Meister Arts and Crafts. Have a great day. See you soon.